In the first fight, we have Talita Allencar versus Ariane Carnelossi. Talita Allen's 35 years old, 6-1-1, 3-1-1 in her last 5 fights. She lands 2.62 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.77, and has a 75% finish rate. Ariane, 32 years old, 15-3, 3-2 in her last 5 fights. She lands 2.87 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.74, and has a 45% finish rate. Allencar ends fights 75%, means 3 every 4 she wins by stoppage. She hunts submissions, uses a lot of pressure, doesn't let you breathe once she finds her rhythm. Carnelossi brings slightly more volume at 2.87 significant strikes landed per minute, but she also absorbs almost 5 per minute. That's a problem when you're facing someone who capitalizes on openings. The experience gap matters as well. Carnelossi has 18 pro fights versus Allencar's 8. She's been in deeper waters, knows how to navigate some storms. Carnelossi needs to control the range, stay grappling exchanges, and win with output. If Carnelossi keeps it standing, stays technical, her volume, I think, will be enough to get it done. If Allencar gets her hands on Carnelossi, finish rate pretty much still tells the story. But give me Ariane Carnelossi to get it done. What's up, everybody? Crossover MMA back in here for another video. Now let's get back into UFC Vegas 110. But before we do that, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button for more content. In the next fight, we have Rowe versus Seokhyeon Quo. Rowe's 35 years old, 11-5, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. He lands 3.99 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.38, and has a 69% finish rate. Seokhyeon Quo is 32 years old, 12-2, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. He lands 2.9 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 2, and has a 69% finish rate. Quo's defense is the story. 2 strikes absorbed per minute is elite. Rowe's taking more than double that at 4.38. The gap shows who fights clean and who gets dragged into wars. Quo's on a 5-fight win streak with just perfect form. Rowe's 3-2 in his last 5. He's 35 years old, has a bit more mileage. Rowe will enjoy a 10-inch reach advantage though, and that's massive. Quo would look to use his footwork, get inside, take away the distance, because Rowe likes to use those long-range weapons, the jabs, the low kicks, the 1-2s, and Quo's just gonna have to find a way to get inside, maybe slip some shots, wait for Rowe to overextend, and then look to counter. I think Quo's gonna try to control the pace and use a little bit of pressure and frustrate Rowe with his movement, then just look to get it done later in rounds. So give me Seokhyeon Quo to get it done right here. In the next fight, we have Ardelean versus Montserrat Ruiz. Ardelean is 33 years old, 10-7, 3-2 in her last 5 fights. She lands 6.73 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 5.04, and has a 59% finish rate. Montserrat Ruiz is 32 years old, 10-4, 3-2 in her last 5 fights. She lands 0.79 significant strikes per minute and has a 64% finish rate. Ardelean obviously lands at a much higher pace at 6.73 to less than 1 for Ruiz. It's just a massive output difference. Ardelean puts the action, forces exchanges, though she absorbs over 5 significant strikes per minute. Ruiz has the better finishing rate at 64, showing she is dangerous when opportunity presents themselves, but the striking volume deficit is just too significant. Ardelean has that veteran grit. She's been in 17 pro fights and knows how to survive some bad positions. Her activity and pressure should overwhelm Ruiz early and often. The key is whether Ruiz can find her moments to counter and hurt Ardelean. If not, Ardelean's relentless pace drowns her, in my opinion. So give me Ardelean to get it done. In the next fight, we have Ketlen Vieira versus Norma Dumont. Ketlen Vieira is 33 years old, 15-4, 3-2 in her last 5 fights. She lands 3.84 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.72, has a 54% finish rate. Norma Dumont is 34 years old, 12-2, 5-0 in her last 5 fights. She lands 3.86 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 2.16, and has a 66% finish rate. Dumont's defense is really the difference here. She only absorbs 2.16 strikes per minute compared to Vieira's 3.72. She's hard to hit clean, stays composed, picks her shots with precision. Dumont's also on a 5-fight win streak. Vieira's 3-2 in her last 5, showing some inconsistency. Both land nearly identical volume at 3.85 per minute, but Dumont does it while taking much less damage. Vieira will try to use her size and strength, but Dumont's patience and timing neutralize the pressure, in my opinion. Expect Dumont to control the distance, counter when Vieira pressures, and win rounds with the cleaner work. Give me Norma Dumont to get it done. In the next fight, we have Donte Johnson versus Sedriques Dumas. Donte Johnson's 26 years old, 6-0. He lands 6 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 6 as well, and he has a 100% finish rate. Dumas is 31 years old, 10-3, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. He has a 77% finish rate. Johnson's undefeated with a perfect finish rate. Every win comes by stoppage. He throws 6 strikes per minute, absorbs the same, showing he fights in exchanges and trusts his chin. Dumas brings just chaos, but he doesn't always seem as though he wants to be in there. He likes to use his range, stay at a distance, and just pick apart his opponents from the outside. Johnson is much more reckless and he gets into firefights, and I think he's just going to go in there and get right after Dumont, right from the word go. The age difference doesn't really do much for me. It's 26 versus 31. Johnson had, like I said, he's undefeated. Dumas is 10-3. I think this fight's going to be a firefight because Johnson's just going to force it to be a firefight. Give me Donte Johnson his UFC debut to get it done. In the next fight, we have Timmy Cuamba versus Changho Lee. Timmy Cuamba is 26 years old, 9-3, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. He lands 3.2 significant strikes per minute and has a 75% finish rate. Changho Lee is 26 years old, 11-1, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. He lands 4.92 significant strikes per minute and has a 92% finish rate. Lee is a finishing machine. Like I said, 92% means he pretty much never goes to decision. He lands almost 5 significant strikes per minute using that constant forward pressure with those finishing instincts. Both guys are 26, so age won't be a factor. Lee is on that 5-0 run, so he has a lot of momentum going right now. I expect Lee will press forward from the opening bell, looking to throw combinations and not let Cuamba breathe. Cuamba needs to counter and make Lee respect his power, but Lee's relentless pace is hard to match. I expect Lee to overwhelm him early and maybe even get the finish. Give me Changho Lee to get it done. In the next fight, we have Elekana versus Kevin Christian. Elekana is 30 years old, 8-2, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He lands 2.34 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.18, and has an 80% finish rate. Kevin Christian is 30 years old, 9-2, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. He lands less than 1 significant strike per minute, absorbs 1.83, but he has a 100% finish rate. He only absorbs 1.83. That's some elite defensive striking. But then again, it could just be one of those things where it's so early in his career, we don't really know, and the stats don't really tell the tale. His striking output, like I said, is very low. It's under 1 significant strike landed per minute. Elekana uses, obviously, more volume, lands 2.34 strikes per minute with an 80% finish rate. Christian's defense and perfect record definitely make him dangerous in exchanges. Both guys are 30 years old. The difference for me is just, Christian does have that momentum, solid in the UFC so far. I expect this to be a tactical first round where they're feeling each other out. Christian may even find a window to get a finish early, but I think Elekana is going to weather perhaps an early storm to get it done. So give me Elekana. In the next fight, we have Allan Nascimento versus Rafael Estevam. Allan Nascimento is 34 years old, 21-6, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He lands 6.01 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 1.9, and has a 77% finish rate. Rafael Estevam is 29 years old, 14-0. He lands 2.1 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 2.59, and has a 100% finish rate. Estevam's efficient, calm, doesn't waste much motion at only 2.1 significant strikes landed per minute. Nascimento brings much higher output at over 6 strikes landed per minute in 27 professional fights. Both fighters have excellent defense. Nascimento only absorbs 1.9 strikes per minute, whereas Estevam absorbs 2.59. This would be a technical fight early, both fighters respecting each other's power. The key is going to be Estevam's composure. He's never been tested in adversity because he's never lost. Nascimento's 3-2's recent form shows some inconsistency. Expect Estevam to control the pace, stay patient, avoid wild exchanges, and perhaps find a finish in the later round. Give me Rafael Estevam in a good one. In the next fight, we have Charles Radtke versus Daniel Frunza. Charles Radtke's 35 years old, 10-5, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. He lands 3.17 significant strikes per minute and has a 67% finish rate. Daniel Frunza's 35 years old, 9-3, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. He lands 6.3 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 6.67, has an 88% finish rate. Frunza hits hard, finishes fights at 88%. He lands 6.3 strikes per minute, doubling Radtke's output, but he does absorb 6.67 strikes per minute as well, which is very dangerous. Shows he has some defensive holes. So, a striker like Radtke that's a bit more technical could definitely take advantage of that. Both fighters are 35 years old, so I'm not really expecting the age to play a factor. I think he's going to be the more patient fighter and look to counter Frunza's wild swings and look to land something clean and do damage. So give me Charles Radtke. In the next fight, we have Isaac Dulgarian versus Yadier Del Valle. Isaac Dulgarian is 29 years old, 7-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He lands 5.3 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 1.82, and has an 87% finish rate. Yadier Del Valle is 29 years old, 9-0, lands 7.24 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.46, and has a 73% finish rate. Both fighters are aggressive and very dangerous. Dulgarian's defense is elite at 1.82 absorbed per minute. Del Valle lands with crazy high volume at 7.24, which is just a lot of output. Del Valle's undefeated. He's never tasted defeat. That confidence and momentum definitely matter. Dulgarian's only loss came in his short 8-fight career. I think this is just going to be an absolute firefight. Both throw a heavy volume, hunt finishes. Whoever manages the distance better in this one gets the win. Calle's perfect record and a higher output give him the edge, in my opinion. His willingness to exchange and overwhelm with pace. I think he's gonna get it done. Give me Yadier Del Valle in a good one. In the co-main event, we have Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Ante Talita. Cortez Acosta is 34 years old, 14-2, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He lands 5.61 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.51, and has a 51% finish rate. Ante Talita is 35 years old, 26-6, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Lands 6.34 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 1.95, and has a 56% finish rate. Talita's defense is a story. He only absorbs 1.95 strikes per minute at heavyweight. That is elite. He stays composed, doesn't get drawn into brawls, picks his shots with precision. Cortez Acosta lands 5.16 strikes per minute, but sometimes he can be out there and just take a few pictures. Ante Talita, his UFC debut against Marcin Tybura was one of the best we've seen recently. He went out there and he literally just made quick work of Marcin Tybura in the first round. Cortez Acosta doesn't have the same type of experience. I mean, he's 34 years old and only has 16 pro fights. Talita, on the flip side, has 32 professional wins. I expect Talita to go out there and frustrate Cortez Acosta with his defense, land the cleaner shots, and I think he gets it done. In the main event, we have Steve Garcia versus David Onama. Steve Garcia is 33 years old, 18-5, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. 5.18 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 2.2, has a 56% finish rate. David Onama is 31 years old, 14-2, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He lands 5.24 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.73, and has a 52% finish rate. Both these guys are very reckless in the first round. They pretty much go for it. Both these guys have high output, big power in hands, and this fight could be over very quickly. If we get through the first round though, I think the second and third round will be a bit more tactical. Steve Garcia has just been very exciting here lately. Definitely been getting guys out of there. Onama lands with slightly more volume at 5.24 compared to 5.18. The efficiency leans towards Garcia. Like I said, he's been perfect over his last 5 fights. Garcia will only enjoy a 1-inch reach advantage. I don't expect that to play a significant role in the fight. Garcia does use a bit more footwork than Onama, and I think that could frustrate Onama just a little bit. Onama could just press forward, control the pace. I do think Garcia will land the cleaner shots, but I just think this is going to be a firefight, and I'm not too confident in this one. I think it's a coin flip fight, but give me Steve Garcia. If you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. Drop your picks in the comments. Let me know who you're backing. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And as always, until next time.